They asked me to come and speak on organizational efficiency. It's a presentation I did back at our Spring Congress for Hockey Canada, speaking to the executive directors and members that join together every year to do that. So it might not have to do directly with the game of hockey. Hockey. All right. I was listening to Glenn for too long. But what we're going to do is talk about a little bit about organizational effectiveness versus organizational efficiency and how it applies to our organizations, our businesses, and mainly our sport. Talking about the world today and what we're dealing with. And we have to be honest when we look around at our country and how much it's changing. We have more sports and more cultures in Canada than we've ever had before. I don't remember a day I was driving back to my house, a few months ago and looking by and they have a cricket game going on the side of the highway, just in this soccer field. And me, myself, I don't think I've ever seen cricket before in my life. For it to just show up in the city of Calgary and be so predominant, it's mind-blowing to me. So when we go about our business and we're trying to develop and grow the game of hockey, we can't just take into account what we do, but we have to take into account what the world is dealing with today and what we in Canada specifically have going on. Technology and video games. We've talked about this over and over again, but it continues to be a trend. How many people have a cell phone in their pocket right now? Every single one of us have technology on us at this very moment, but that's the world we live in. That's what we're dealing with. Kids are playing video games. Kids are seeing sports that are played in Asia that are now coming here at the click of a button. They're in their fingertips. Quidditch or Harry Potter. Harry Potter has come to life. This is a sport kids are now playing. And they're making it what it is because they want that and they have that interest. So hockey is not as easy as it used to be. My grandfather played, my father played, my brothers played, my uncle played, I played, but it's not that easy anymore. Now it's not just an automatic thing. We have to bring it to life again. We have to show the kids what hockey means to this country and get everybody involved and excited about it. In saying that, hockey has now become a business. Unfortunately, with the rate that it's growing, so are the people that are getting involved. We have amateur sports, people coming around, clinics, skills, tournaments, spring hockey. If a parent walks into an arena anywhere in Canada today, you'll see on a sign a hockey camp, right? They're everywhere. So you'll see a hockey camp for a week for $1,000 from Bill. Bill's putting on a $1,000 hockey camp. Right next to it is Matt's hockey camp for $1,500. But you know which one the parent's going to pick? The $1,500 one, because he must be better, because he costs more, right? Every one of us is looking at this and dealing with. We're competing on a daily basis in many facets. And all of these things are coming to light, and we're turning something that should be fun and basic into a business and a competition. Talking about the workout story, how big hockey has gotten. Hockey has gotten even bigger to the point where we have so many facets of it that we have to discover. Kids are doing yoga to help with hockey. You have to have psychology. We're doing that part to help with hockey. We have to do off-ice training to help with hockey. There's specific edge work to help with hockey. Every camp is something different. Now you have to go to 17 hockey camps to become an overall better hockey player. So it's not just one thing anymore, it's not just straightforward. There are many fundamentals that go into becoming a hockey player, and we are trying to make the most of it. So how do you guys as an organization, or we as a national organization, how do we thrive? How do we survive in this changing environment? And how do we make sure that we are getting the most that we can get out of each other, out of our organizations, and out of everybody here working together to grow our game? Efficiency in this world is everything. I talk about how we're changing, how technology is coming alive, and what kind of environments we're dealing with. I think, personally, if I'm just going to throw it out there, we are the most motivated and lazy generation that we've ever been. Look at all this stuff. FedEx came along. Why? Because mail was too slow. We want it faster. We want it overnight at the person's door. Whenever we want it there, we want it straight there. That one on the bottom right is a man's hair cutter. He doesn't even have to leave the house anymore to go to a tailor and sit down and talk to somebody. You literally just wipe this thing all over your head. You got a freak haircut and you're out the door. Because it's quick, it's easy, and it's there. Apple and iPods have taken over our world. They now make everything's interconnected, everything's simple, everything's right where you need it, right where you want it. You have music, you have video, you can call somebody through Facebook. It's getting crazy. But why? Because we want it. We want easy, we want accessible, we want now. But then there's more. They want cheap. They want easy. That bottom right, we don't even have to walk anymore. We're human beings who don't want to walk. We have a machine that takes us from point A to point B so we don't have to move our feet. This is what we're dealing with. But it's because of these organizations, these companies that have come along and made the world more efficient, made it easier for us to live, therefore we can get more done, we can do more things, we can be happier people. And that's what we're looking for. How do we transfer that into the hockey world? Talking about McDonald's. This one for me, because when I did this presentation way back in April, it's always a funny thing when you're about to talk and then I'm on my way on the plane and this movie was on the airplane called The Founder about McDonald's. So I'm about to give a speech on organizational efficiency, and I'd never seen this movie before. It popped on and it blew my mind. It was directly related to everything that I wanted to say. So I thought I'd take a clip and I would show you guys.
Ready and action.
This is the most remarkable restaurant I've seen in all my years in the food service industry, and I've seen it all. I want to hear your story. Here you are. How the heck did you come up with this?
Oh, I didn't. We did. Dick McDonald, my brother.
Hi. Boy, I gotta tell you, this is the most... Well, it's nice to meet you.
The McDonald's brothers, what those two boys created, changed everything. This changed everything.
Care for a little tour? Speed. That's the name of the game. The first stop for every McDonald's hamburger is the grill, manned by two cooks whose sole job it is to grill those all-beef beauties to perfection. Meanwhile, as the patty cooks, our dressers get the buns ready. Watch out. Burger crossing. Burger crossing. Burger crossing.
Mac and Dick McDonald stumbled onto a new system to fix the ills of the drive-in business, essentially, which is what they were in when they started.
They're sort of the Henry Ford of fast food. So they developed this choreographed way that food could be made in 30 seconds rather than 30 minutes.
We wanted something different, and that's when my brother here comes up with one of his brilliant ideas. Tell him, Dick.
Orders ready in 30 seconds, not 30 minutes.
And you were gonna love how we did it, Dick. You gotta tell him.
Tennis court?
Okay, he brings me up to this tennis court, and he's drawn this line, the exact dimensions of our kitchen.
Sink on the right, extruder on the left.
Okay. And Dick is running around with this stick, marking where all the equipment should be.
Tuck in. Tony, are you gonna skip the pickles when we're really doing it? Yes. No. No. Catch up! Here's the lazy Susan. And pickles, and pickle, and mustard!
The Speed D system is born,
And it's off to the races.
and we are an overnight sensation 30 years in the making.
What are you doing? There's time to lean, there's time to clean. Let's go.
They didn't just create fast food as we know it, they had to invent all the things that we take for granted that didn't exist back then. So one of the things they did was they created a little machine, like a flour sifter looking kind of thing, that they would just push a button and the right amount of ketchup would drop right onto the bun every time.
Now, where'd you get those?
We made them.
Made them.
Yeah, custom built. Whole kitchen is.
It's a really incredible story because it shows you the excitement of this company at the beginning and what it must have felt like to stumble on this for a businessman like Ray Kroc.
A fresh, delicious burger from grill to counter in 30 seconds.
What they started.
Now, what those boys did with McDonald's is exactly kind of what has become the norm for us. Everything that is invented is bigger, better, faster, more efficient, easier, more accessible. That's everything that we want, and the more that we get it, the more that we want it. Everybody's kind of been consumed by this idea. And now we get into a generation of people where this is what we expect. If something, I personally sit at my desk, and if I click on a website, it takes more than 3 seconds to get there, I'm pretty angry. I'm getting frustrated, I'm hitting the damn button over and over again, because we want it right there, right now. That's what we've come to expect. And I think when it becomes that expectation in life, it's now being drawn into that sporting world that we have to deal with also in the same kind of effect. So people want easier things, more accessible things. They want cheaper products. They don't want to pay for this easiness. They think it should just come naturally, so they want it cheaper. But then they also want that customer service to come with it. So they have all these facets of a product that we're trying to give somebody when you have to have it easier, it has to be better, it has to work well, it has to be given to them in the way that they want it. Everybody has that expectation level, and it's coming down in the hockey world. Next generations, right now, in my world, and I think I'm surely one of them, that the idea of work is no longer a 9 to 5. We are becoming a world where technology is taking over, and I have my cell phone in my back pocket right now, and I guarantee you I've had 6 emails since I started talking to you guys. Am I going to ignore them until Monday at 9 a.m.? No. I'm going to check them when I'm done talking to you, to be honest, because I still have another day of work. People are working out there. I'm working in here, and that's just the way we are. So that's what we have to deal with. People now are expecting flexible hours. They're expecting kind of that new age look. But something like hockey in all of this world, how do we grow into something like that and become more flexible, become more of what people are wanting and how people want to work, while still adhering to what hockey needs to be in order to be fun, in order to be what it used to be, and not let go of kind of what the essence of our game is. I would say offices now is part of the idea. Everybody talks about the Google campus, right? The Google campus became something big. They have napping pods where you can go sleep during the day. Some new companies have beer in the corner, just take a break, no problem. They have pool tables, ping pong tables, all this stuff because people think in our generation now we want stimuli. We want something new like that. We want to get up from our desks and relax for a minute. It's not the staple, sit down for 8 hours, do your job, get up and go home. It's a completely different world that we have to adhere to, and something it's hard to do in the sporting world, and that's how we need to get that transition over on how do we do that. For you guys in particular, you're facing many things being in your associations, in your organizations, even in your families. You're dealing with all these sorts of things. And everything that you have to look at is from all different types of angles. So not only do you have your internal that I just spoke of, so you have your employees that they also want to take a break. They want to see the world. They want all the things that are at their fingertips. They want bigger and better. They want to see things. So you have that internal expectations where they don't want to work too long, but they want to get their job done. Then you have the consumers on the outside. You have your parents and families and all those things that they want to be catered to. They want to only have their kid on the ice twice a week, but this one 4 times a week, but that one's okay, but then you can push it here, but not here because they want the schedule that they want because they have 4 kids or 1 kid or grandkids. Then you have your partners that you're working with, so if they're working at a certain time or putting on something, then maybe you have to put that on. So that's another factor you guys have to take into account. And then you have your volunteers, which you can only ask so much of, but you do ask a lot of. So all of these things, and on the bottom and on top of it, you have Hockey Canada kind of throwing things at you from that perspective, coming down through Hockey Manitoba, such as this IP change. We have been, how long has IP been going on? Over 10 years they've been discussing about how half ice improves the game for these kids. Half ice means more touches, more fun, more opportunities to play. It's cheaper ice. You get more ice times out of it. All of these things are proven, yet everybody's still hesitant. Everybody's worried about it. Why? Because it's change. But we are trying to move with what the expectation is. We're trying to move with the game, but it's very hard when we've had traditions of 100 years or more. So I'm very aware of what you guys are dealing with. So that's why I wanted to talk about the efficiency within these kind of organizations and making sure that I understand and I'm explaining the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. If I told everybody to stand up right now and switch seats, and you can't be sitting in the same seat that you were sitting in before, and you can't sit at the same table, or I gave you a big challenge, it would take a few minutes. You'd have to figure it out, you'd have to think about it, and you'd all sit down in a new seat. That would be effective, because I asked you to do something, you did it. But did you do it in the most efficient manner? No, because I didn't give you any information, I didn't pre-plan it, I didn't give you anything. But if I asked you to do it 10 or 12 times, you'd get better at it each time. So the difference between doing something and being effective and doing it efficiently is where we're going to get to. Because right now, in the game of hockey, we're doing things very effectively. We have kids in the game, it's awesome, it's Canada, it's our national sport, we're doing everything we need to do, and kids are in there. But are we being efficient about it? Can we be better? For me, looking at these types of things, this, for me, is the definition of efficiency. I don't think I could have done anything any better. You have 4 tires being changed, 12 guys standing around a car. It has to be done so fast. The race is on, the gas is there, changing everything, all of that in under 3 seconds. That is the definition of efficiency, and it did not come easy. So looking at the factors that go into creating efficiency, and the various things that are in your organization that you just need to remember to take into account. Some tidbits that you can look over, maybe some things you're already doing, maybe some things you've looked into before, maybe this is brand new stuff that could help, and if you only take one thing from it, I'd be a happy camper. But I just want to touch on a few of these things that can kind of bring together to talk about the efficiency of an organization. So articulating a vision. For me, when I first made this slide, the actual first thing I did, I put the Batman symbol kind of right across it, because it kind of shows what it is. It's a vision. It's up there for everybody to see. It's a beacon of light that everyone knows in your organization what the purpose is of every action and every decision that they do. It's something that they see every day, that when they go through tough times or stressful times, that they understand that what they're deciding or the maneuvers that they go through are all towards that single vision that you guys have in your small group. We as Hockey Canada have a vision. Hockey Manitoba has a vision. Your association probably has a vision. And then even in your family, do you have a vision within them? And everybody plays a role to have that vision come to life. But now, looking at that, have you articulated it properly? Does everyone here understand what you're going for on a daily basis when you make decisions? When you get a single phone call or a single email from somebody within a family or a player in hockey, do you understand that what you give to them, the information you pass on, does it lead towards that single vision that everyone is going for? So when you're starting any kind of process, looking at this, looking at the efficiency or the structure of your organization, this should be right at the top. Then you'll start to work your way down from there. Looking at the roles and responsibilities of everybody involved. This is it's a in-betweener one, and I have an example of this, but it's a classic story of making sure that everybody understands not only the role, but their responsibility. What are they responsible for? What decisions are up to them? What are their expectations? What are their goals? As a person, I have to know what is expected of me, and not on a daily, but on a yearly, on a general basis. When I'm here this weekend, I understand what's expected of me. When I'm sitting at my desk on Monday, I understand what's expected of me. And I understand what, from every level, from my colleagues to my bosses right above me to Tom Rennie sitting at his desk, I understand what he wants from me, and I set goals to get there. Within that, it's about the clarity and not leaving any ambiguity in between. I have a gentleman, I said even Todd Anderson here tonight, he's going to be presenting. He is in charge of officiating with Hockey Canada. We have another gentleman, if you guys know Corey McDowell, he's in charge of development. And then I work with Mike, who is the manager of coaching. And then I work with Pierre, who is the manager of school programs. I myself am the manager of female. Female what? Female development, female officiating, female coaching. I live in a world where this is everything to me. Because if we get a call or somebody comes into our office with a new program that's, say it's a female development program that has a little bit of coaching in it and bringing back some of these, but it's going to be taking place inside of a school, there's 5 of us that could be involved right there. Plus we have directors that are in charge of recruitment programs. There's a lot of things that go on in an organization that have to be clear and have to be concise, because when something comes down that pipe, I have to know, again, what my role is, what my responsibility is, what do I take on, when do I work with another person, do I partner, or is this me by myself? There's a lot of in-betweens, and I think we take this one for granted, where you give somebody a job title and they kind of figure out their way in what they have to do within your organization, and sometimes things can overlap, which means 2 people are working on the same task, which wastes time, wastes your resources and everything, or something falls between the cracks because it doesn't quite fit what my expectation or my responsibility is. So there's a lot of things that go into just something as simple as clarifying the roles and responsibilities of a person. Lastly in there is making their goals smart. I think we've all learned the SMART throughout our lifetime, but making them attainable is a huge factor. Making it sure that what you guys, Tom Rennie set out that goal for us, 1 million players by 2020. The only reason he made that is because he believes in every single one of us. Now it's up to us, trickling all the way down, to make that come to fruition. But setting goals for your employees on a daily basis is something that you can't just set and walk away from. It has to be set, it has to be monitored. Maybe it changed. If somebody gives me a goal, but 4 days later, it just really doesn't look like it's attainable, it's nothing that can't be changed, nothing that can't be looked at from a different angle that make it attainable for that person. So setting a goal and walking away is one thing, but setting a goal, staying to it, and changing it up a little bit in order to make what's best for that person as they are, and then also the organization as a whole. So I have an example here of kind of setting the bar a little bit too high.
All right, girls, now this is your last chance. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped, you're fired.
Yes, ma'am.
Let her roll!
Oh, this is easier. Yeah, we can handle this, okay? Splendidly. Speed it up a
So setting goals a little too high, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that's also about developing that trust between an employee can let you know if it's not something that they can attain, then you have that opportunity to work together to change it up a little bit. Processes and tactics. This is all about the organizational structure and understanding not only what your roles and responsibilities are, but making sure that I, as an employee, understand everyone's roles and responsibilities. Then how I work together with them, or when and where I fit kind of within that entire structure of the organization. This is kind of I put all my points into the boxes. So the backbone of the organization's success is understanding that the processes within are set up for efficiency, for success, and then for you as a person to be successful, not only like on the organizational side, but on the individual side as well. Structure of the organization is up to you guys, and it's something that should be developed within and something that should be known by everybody. If you were to ask anybody in your organization right now what somebody else does or where something fits within, could everybody respond to you right now with the correct answer? Would they understand the flow of the information? Would they understand the responsibilities of everybody across the board and where they would be involved, would they not be involved, and who would work together on a single project? That clear and understanding of all systems. It also works for not jumping on something. So if I get some information, who do I pass it off to? Do I take it upon myself? Do I spread it? Do I bring it to the top? Is it something I can work with a colleague on mine? Everything in between and that communication style all comes down to this organizational chart, which at the beginning of every year, whether it changes once, doesn't change at all, it still needs to be repeated and made sure it's understood by volunteers that come in once in a while, by the people at the top who make it and make sure that's communicated to everybody. But that is a clear backbone of the structure of an organization. Templates and guidelines, creating continuity. So if you have any information that flows through, and I know everybody does, ask yourself this. If I ask myself, as a Hockey Canada employee, if I had to go tomorrow, if I won a free life expenses to Hawaii for the rest of my life, I'm gone. If that happened, would my position be able to continue? Could one of my colleagues understand what I do for a living, step in not only to help that, but to actually make it work? If you had to hire somebody new and put them in a spot, would they be successful right off the hop? Do you have the guidelines? Do you have the tools? Do you have the resources for them to be successful? So all of these little tidbits, as somebody walking in, it's always a safe bet to do that example of if you have a brand new employee of any kind, do they understand the roles and responsibilities? Do they understand the flow? Do they understand the structure? Because that is how you start, and then they can start doing their job effectively as soon as they have that kind of information. So my example from Hockey Canada is that just in my little development nook alone, we have 8 people that work very closely together, but we also work very far apart at times. And I have a program called SO Fun Days, which is a recruitment program, a development program, and a female program. And that technically would apply to 4 different people in my department, but it's mine. Like it's under my portfolio to take care of. So understanding that that is me, but I can rely on those other guys to help when I need, but I'm the one responsible for the success of that program while leaning on them for information and other resources. I say. Little goodie about working together.
The problem appears to be unsolvable. Maybe we could run some computer simulations.
There are too many variables. It would take forever.
We've got to be missing something. Let's start again. The movie is playing here at 7:20, here at 7:40, here at 8:10, and here at 8:45.
All right, these theaters have to be eliminated.
Why? They're state-of-the-art, digital projection, 20-channel surround sound.
Yes, but they have no icy machines. Despite my aggressive letter writing campaign, I might add.
What about the multiplex here? The seats are terrific.
They have Twizzlers instead of red vines. No amount of lumbar support can compensate for that.
Well, it's going to take at least an hour to eat, and I don't see a Sheldon-approved restaurant proximate to a Sheldon-approved theater.
We could eat after the movie.
Unacceptable. The delay would result in tomorrow morning's bowel movement occurring at work.
Hang on. There's a 7-Eleven here. We smuggle Slurpees, which are essentially ices, in under our coats after having a pleasant meal either here, or here.
Wow. I don't see how we missed that.
Excuse me, in what universe are Slurpees ices?
That's how we missed it.
Sheldon, would you be prepared on a non-presidential basis to create an emergency ad hoc Slurpee icy equivalency?
Oh, Leonard, you know I can't do that.
Okay, I guess we only have one option.
Yep, I don't see any way around it.
Bye, Sheldon.
See ya.
They'll do.
They're right, it was the only option.
Very efficient. So moving on to communication, I think I could speak on this slide. I could do probably a presentation all on its own just based on communication. As everyone in this room has probably dealt with something going wrong in the communication of an organization on a daily basis. This is kind of make or break when it comes to internal, external, every component of your association, your organization, your family, kind of your daily lives. But looking at style, the delivery, and reception, something we go on and we learn about all the way through our lives, but we really have to take into account of who we're talking to and when we're talking. And are your members of your association, members of your organization, are they prepared to speak to many different levels of people? Do we understand how we are going to talk to a 12-year-old girl who's asking how to make Team Canada versus a parent who's coming in saying, my player is the next Crosby and he's 6 years old, what do I do? Working all the way up to, if Peter Woods walks into your organization, do we understand how we are delivering our message? How is it getting out and who are we speaking to? That chain of communication within your organization is key to that flow that we talked to earlier of when any kind of information comes in, who does it flow through? Who do you connect with on what? When does it have to go? Do you have too many people involved? Do you have one person involved? Are you emailing everybody just because you don't know what to do? Understanding what kind of communication needs to go to who to become more efficient. We just started a new communication kind of theme in our office to try to eliminate these emails that you get. You probably get 30 emails a day of different things going on in the office. That do you really need to have 30 unread emails kind of going on, right? That just get passed around and you're forwarded on things or you're copied on things that you don't really need to be. A lot of those things can take up our time and waste a lot of our energy. So those internal processes that you guys have within, do you have there's a program called Slack that kind of helps out there. We have a brand new thing called Home Ice that we do our information on. Do you guys have anything that helps you internally? Are you texting each other? Are you calling each other? Are your emails, do you have regarding who needs to be on an email, who doesn't? Is that clear within your organization? Or is it just kind of a free fall where everybody's just trying to communicate with everybody, and every time I assume somebody needs to be involved, I bring them in and then they tell me they're not? Don't let it get out of hand, and having a communication plan right from the simplest things to the most complex things can really save a lot of steps in everybody's daily lives. Memos, calls, and meetings, and all these frequencies. Well, I think we do way too many of these. Hands down, way too many. You're in 6-7 meetings a day. Do you really need to be in 6 or 7 meetings a day? And in those 6 or 7 meetings, do you need to talk about the weather for the first 20 minutes? Do you need to pick on the one guy that everybody picks on at the first 10 minutes of a meeting? Are these being effective? If you're sitting in a room for 45 minutes with all of your colleagues, what do you accomplish? What is your goal? And what did you actually get out of a meeting that's there? Are you conference calling all the time? Are you passing around the memos? Are you using that email structure? What kinds of communication are you utilizing within your organization? And taking a step back and understanding of what impact something as simple as an email can have on somebody's daily routine or their time that they're working on. That's one of the biggest, I think, mishandlings within an organization is bombarding people with too many means of communication. On your external basis, this is a huge one. As we talked about technology being today, everybody here, do you have social media? What kinds of social media do you have? What do the kids pay attention to these days? How are you communicating with your families? With all your members of your associations, how are you getting the word out? How are they getting the word in? If they email, who are they emailing? Who handles that? Where does it go? Who responds? How do they handle this? What do you have a time frame? All of these simple things that we kind of take for granted and just go with have to be put at the top priority within an organization to become that as efficient as we would like to be. Communication and technology is now in every single aspect of our organizations, from internal to external, from having a social media plan for the kids that represent you guys and making sure that they are doing the right thing, all the way through to an internal thing of somebody just sitting there saying, hey, I have to let that person know that something happened today. What are the means of them doing so? So that flow, the outside world, the inside world, how it gets from people to people, all of these different things, we seriously need to sit back and ask ourselves how effective they are right now and how much more efficient they can be. Research and analysis, I think this is the big one. This is for you guys and why I came here today, and all of the stuff I've been saying so far leads us right here to this slide. Being, what can you do today or tomorrow or this season or the next 2 to 5 years? What can you do to become more efficient? How do you learn what your situation is right now? And you have to take into account both the external that we've already discussed and the internal. So looking out, what is the market that you're facing? Where do you guys fit? Where does Manitoba fit in the grand scheme of things within Hockey Canada's membership? Where does hockey fit within all of sports in Canada? How are we doing these days? Who are we competing with? How's everything resting where it should? How's the information out there? How's the messaging on concussions? Is that affecting us? Is it not? Do we have something in place? Sometimes you have to take the risk to get to the reward. This, a lot of the beauty of our organization is you guys as branches and as associations and members have a lot of power, a lot of opportunities to create your own programming, to do something independently that somebody else doesn't do. It's not mandated from the top. It's up to you guys to what is best for your area and your current situation and how do you maximize that. But taking some risks sometimes gets you that reward. Complacency is what will get you in the biggest of trouble. And of course, technology and information. I think, and I cannot stress enough, how much information is in the world that we don't utilize. I ask, is there anybody in this room who knows everything about hockey? I saw somebody put up their hand. Not everybody does, but we think sometimes we do. We get carried away with the amount that we know, and I know there's too much information to know, and there's a lot floating around in different capacities regarding different things, but we have to trust that what is out there will help us. I have my presentation tomorrow about growing the game. Information is so much knowledge when it comes to growing the game, when it comes to building efficiency within yours. And if you don't take in that knowledge and you just sit back and say, I've got enough, then that is where we get caught, is sitting back and thinking we've done enough. Ironically, just like the McDonald's video, there's always something that catches me when I have to do this sort of thing. And this is your booklet for the season opener. And we have a quote here that there are two primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist, or to accept the responsibility for changing them. That right there is what this whole thing is about. It's what the efficiency of your organization is about. It's about you guys making the decision of the systems, the communications, the structures, and all of the things that you have set up in your organizations, your associations right now. Are you just fine with the way they are? Or do you want to be better? Are you willing to accept the responsibility that it's up to you guys to be better for the volunteers, for your consumers, for your partners, for everybody involved? But that is a huge responsibility, and I understand that that is. Nobody's saying it's not. It's not about sitting around and accepting things as it is. It's about challenging yourself to be better. What can we do that somebody else isn't doing so far? What else is actually somebody doing that we could bring into our area and make it better? That becomes your internal stuff, the feedback from your members. Are you hearing what they're saying, and are you taking it in? Or is it just that oblivious, no, there's nothing more we can do. We can't listen to that right now. We don't have the capacity. We don't have this. We don't have that. Or is there a way to do it? And you have to be willing to accept that challenge of what they bring to you. Internal analysis of your programs. If you have a recruitment program right now that's working, and maybe every year you have 50 participants and you're retaining 60% of those participants, that's a pretty good number. But can it be better? Are you just complacent with saying it works, it's 60%, it works, we don't need to change it? But is there something you can do, or somebody else you can involve, or a different strategy to take that would bring you up to 70%? Get you that 1 or 2 extra kids. That is where we need to start doing the research internally, doing the analysis, and accepting that challenge that it will take to move to the next level. And last but not least, the standard old incentive, dangling the carrot. I don't think I need to say too much regarding this stuff, but it is effective when used properly. Kind of working out with those. It's not, hey, if you work 40 extra weeks, I'll give you a gift card to Tim Hortons kind of thing. But it's also not, I'll give you a year off if you work an extra week. Somewhere in between. Then it's also taking into account the individual versus the group. You have a lot of different departments. You have a lot of different people working on different things. Somebody who's in the finance who doesn't really touch the ice versus somebody who's touching the ice all the time. What can you give to both of them to be equal? We have to understand that what works for somebody doesn't work for the other. So making sure that incentives within your organization do apply to everybody, not just the single individual. So wrapping it all up, the definition of an efficiency and everything we talked about, setting that vision, looking at what internally you guys can do and accepting that challenge to do better. Looking at the processes that you have, looking at the standards of communication, looking at everything that you have done thus far, and really taking an honest step back to look at what the situation is. And moving forward, it has to leave with a what now. So everything that we've said today, going through the efficiency, and if I say that word one more time, I think I'm going to forget what it means. But do you have a clear vision in your life? This applies on a grand scale, and we could do this as a group right now, but you in your own life, do you have one with your family? Do you have a vision in your association that you are aware of, that your consumers are aware of, that everybody involved has that steady beacon to kind of reach out to and then set their mind? Looking at the season moving ahead, this is your season opener. This is a chance for you guys to really look at what the situation is, assess what it is, and set honest goals just for 1 year. The statement that Rome wasn't built in a day, it's there for a reason, because I'm not expecting overnight changes. I'm not expecting, you guys to come back and have an entirely new structure tomorrow. That takes time and time and time, but what is a small thing or small goals that you can do within your organization, within your structure this season to make that small bit of difference? So starting, say, with that IP. That's something big that's going to make a change, but how did you manage that change? And looking at the structures that you have there. Find out what technology and information is out there. I guarantee you right now, you don't know everything that is out there, and there's a lot that can help. There's a lot of opportunities for recruitment, for programs, for funding, for all of the elements that we look for and how we grow the game and how we can be more efficient. It's out there. I know technology. I said I'm a self-proclaimed 85-year-old stuck in this body because I hate technology, but it does help us. It does have those tools that we can use to be better. And I think for me, if you're taking anything from this weekend and heading into the season, it's just that. Take an honest step back, think small, but big picture, take those small steps to move ahead, gain that efficiency in your organizations to then trickle down and help kind of your members. I think that's it for me. So thank you very much, and good luck.